to Win Anyway Live this Thursday morning. How many of you are old enough to remember that wonderful smell of opening up a new year's worth of Daytimer pages? Yeah, back in the day, the old Covey Daytimer or whatever Daytimer brand you had, it'd be that time of year where you'd go buy that great big thick pile of sheets that all had the 5 or the 8 holes in it to stick into your notebook and set up for the next year. That was always time management to me back in the day. That meant that I had it together. I had something to organize my priorities, my life goals, my daily tasks in. And I used it when I worked at ad agencies and when I was out working for newspapers selling, and I think it was fairly effective. I'm not sure. I would read time management books because you always want to have an idea of what you're doing. But over the years, time management has changed a lot for me, and we're able to do things almost instantly. Sometimes it takes us a lot less time to do sometimes sales calls, to do things where we're researching. I mean, even work, even now, I work for a newspaper now, just like I did 20 years ago. It takes so much less time to deal with reserving an ad and taking care of artwork and the whole bit. It's on computer, it's just almost instant sometimes compared to having to deal with all the paperwork and all the time that it took way back when, which I guess is why we had assistants back then, and now we don't have assistants. So sometimes it can take just as long as it used to because now I still have to do all the work. That's neither here nor there. I've tried different time management techniques over the years, and I'm still trying to figure it all out. So what I'd really like today is, what do you use for time management? I'd love to find out what your strategies are. Maybe I can add those to mine or try something new. But I've tried I think it's called the Pomodoro technique, where you say, okay, the next 15 minutes I'm going to work on this, help prioritize things. That's kind of a procrastination beater. That's something that I have a lot of trouble with time management, is procrastination, which is why lists for me have always been such a great thing. I don't use a daytimer anymore. They're too expensive and I don't need to have them with me. And you have your computer. I mean, you can create a daytimer essentially on your computer. I've gone to yellow pads. Just write a list of what you have to do and when you have to do it on your yellow pad and then tear the sheet off. It's wonderfully satisfying, unless you need to have, I guess, a record of what you've done, which is what the daytimers did. You'd have a record maybe of your mileage, but you can have mileage records in a completely different way now. So the Pomodoro method, 15 minutes at a time. The Eat Your Frog method, which is get up, do the most important thing at a time. Oh, and speaking of getting up, doesn't every guru now tell you to get up at like 3:30 in the morning and do some yoga and do some reading and do some journaling, do some exercising, just do a million things before you actually start your workday? I guess that way you can start your workday already exhausted. I mean, already feeling accomplished, like you've gotten a ton of things done. Yeah, I try to get up at 6 o'clock every morning. It's pretty easy because my wife does at least 4 days out of the week get up that early. The other days, sometimes I sleep in with her until 7 or 7:30. But if I can get up at 6 and get some things done, it's a great thing. Unfortunately, sometimes I get up at 6 and all I get done is playing Bejeweled when I'm checking for things on Facebook and reading the daily comic strips that come to me in my email. Just getting up early, having extra time, sometimes can just be extra time to do stuff that isn't all that important. So let's see, did I even say what the Eat the Frog method was? Do the worst job first. Brian Tracy came up with that years and years ago. That way, if you do the thing you don't want to do the most right away, everything else becomes easier to do. Some people say do the small things first so you can feel like you've accomplished something and then go on to the big things. I don't know. What makes sense to me is get what needs to be done first. Do them in order of importance. I try to write a list on that yellow pad the night before of what I need to do tomorrow. At worst, I'll write one in the morning sometimes. unless I'm really, really procrastinating and then I don't even start my list until midday when I actually start working, it's tough. Yeah, being at home, it's harder and harder to organize your time because it can be harder and harder to get started. But there are a whole bunch of techniques out there. The key is finding the one that works for you. And sometimes it's the one that works for you that day, not always the one that works for you all the time. It can just be the one that works for you that day to get something done. And then at least at the end of your day, celebrate what you did accomplish. Give yourself some pats on the back so you feel good about what you're doing, what you're accomplishing. Otherwise, it just makes the next day that much more frustrating, that much more stressful because you're thinking about what you didn't get done. So try to give yourself some bonus celebration for getting at least a couple of things on your list done. If you're not a list person, well, I hope you've got the type of life that doesn't have a whole bunch of tasks that you need to list out. But hey, that's just me. What do you do? What do you recommend I do? I'm always looking for new ideas, new ways to use my time better, use my time more efficiently. So tell me in the comments, what do you do? Recommend a book, recommend a method. I don't care. Anything so that I can use my time right better today than I have in the past. There you go. Hope you've had fun listening to this little time management rant. And go out now and have a timely WinAnyway day.